Hi! A new quest is available. In this quest, we're going to look together how to create screens in a visual novel using the Ren'Py software. Let's start this quest together. Before starting our quest, I'm going to add some resources to the project's images folder so that I can then add them to the visual novel. As you can see, I've added character sprites as well as backgrounds and icons. Well, it's time to start this new adventure. First, open the project script file. We embark on our quest with a default variable called time_day, initialized as day. This variable represents the time of day in our story. In our first step, we create a screen called choice_time. The player will make a choice regarding the time of day. We display a centered frame on the screen containing two textual buttons. The first button displays the text of the variable time_day between brackets representing the current time of day. The second button is titled Done. If the player clicks on the time button, we capture their choice using the capture focus action to focus on that part of the screen. Then, if we have captured focus on the choice part, we clear the focus using the clear focus action. We then display a model frame containing a series of textual buttons representing the different available choices of time of day, evening, and night. Each button is associated with an action that modifies the value of the time_day variable based on the choice made and then clears the focus. Now that we have described the mechanism for choosing the time of day, let's move on to the next step of our quest. We then create another screen called img_time. In this screen, we display an image corresponding to the chosen time of day. Using a conditional structure, we check the value of time_day to display the corresponding image. If time_day is day, we display the image day.png. If it's evening, we display evening.png. And if it's night, we display night.png. Now that we have defined the choice of time of day and the display of the corresponding icon, let's move on to the next step of our quest.
We reach the start label marking the beginning of our main scenario. We start by displaying the time_background scene representing the visual background of our story. Next, we display the ing_time screen to show the corresponding icon to the player for the chosen time of day. Then we call the choice_time screen to allow the player to choose the time of day if desired. Based on the player's choice, we use a conditional structure to take different actions. If the chosen time of day is day, we display the day image and show the text "Let's start the day together" to encourage the player to begin their day. If the chosen time of day is evening, we display the evening image and show the text "Is it evening already?" to create an evening ambience.
And finally, if the chosen time of day is night, we display the night image and show the text "Good night, meow" to create a nocturnal ambience and wish the player a good night. There you have it. The first step of this quest is complete. Let's review the result together and move on to the next part of the adventure.
Wonderful.
First, let's see how to create a screen called the Heroes that displays hero information. In this screen, I'm going to add several parameters such as the character's name, health points, and screen position. In the first horizontal box, I'm going to add the character's name. In the second horizontal box, I'm going to display a bar as well as some text to display the hit points. Next, let's create a screen called the Heroes underscore bar that utilizes the hero screen. Now let's proceed to the next step where we will add variables to the Heroes underscore bar screen. Complete the parameters of the Heroes underscore bar screen to use the variables we have defined.
Let's continue our quest by creating another screen for the player called Mayo underscore screen, which offers two options.
I forgot to add the variable for the drink potions option. Let's add it now. back to the task at hand. Let's resume the mail underscore screen and then actions that modify the my underscore potions variable. Now let's display the heroes underscore bar screen in the start label. I want to display a message here based on a variable. Let's create that variable. complete the condition using the my_potions variable to display a message and update my_HP. Now let's move on to the third step of this quest.
In this third step, we will explore how to create an image map. To start, let's create a screen that contains the points of the image map. Let's see how the image map works. Open GIMP to display the position of each image button on an image map. For example, Maya is located at position 166 pixels wide, 453 pixels tall, with an image size of 192 pixels wide by 194 pixels tall. Let's get back to the code. In the image map, I will indicate two images, the default image and the hover image at a specific point. Now, I will specify the points for each image button, indicating the position and size for each. Let's create the labels to indicate which label to jump to based on the jump from the image map. The labels are created. Now we can proceed with completing the image map. There you have it. The image map is created. We just need to fill in the labels. Now that the labels are completed, let's display the created image on screen before the labels link to the screen. Let's create an additional label to continue the script based on the decision made in the previous image map labels.
We just need to add the jumps to this label. Moving on to the last step of this quest.
And finally,
Let's create a screen together to choose who the player will drink potions with. Discover the different companion images to be displayed in the screen. For example, the default image is named avatar_my_default.png. When hovered, it becomes avatar_my_hover.png. Let's continue creating this screen by adding the potion companion images. Prepare labels for each potion companion choice. Proceed by adding actions and additional images to the screen. Our screen is complete, but let's add a timer in case the player doesn't make any choice. If the timer reaches 5 seconds without a choice, add a label to handle the situation.
Finish creating the screen by fully implementing the timer.
Complete the labels based on the screen choice. Create another label to continue the visual novel story based on the chosen option. Complete each label by adding jumps to the new label. Finally, let's display the image button screen created before the associated labels.
Thank you for following this Ren'Py tutorial on creating screens. I hope you found this tutorial helpful in understanding and using screen functionalities in your visual novel projects. Feel free to explore Ren'Py further and experiment with your own ideas. Happy development and game creation with Ren'Py! Bye-bye!